Hello and welcome. My name is Justin.
And I'm Draven.
And you have tuned into the GreyVillain podcast. You know, something happens to you when you leave this podcast. The further away, the hazier it all gets. But we never left. We remember all of it. What do we remember again?
I don't know. Are we recording?
Oh, no.
Oh, God.
So, what did we see?
We saw It Chapter 2 today.
Oh, man.
And...
Fucking clowns.
You're just a fucking clown, man.
You're just a fucking clown. And a loser. And a fraud. And...
What a little bitch.
A little bitch.
That was the other one.
Yeah. And so make you small.
So, Justin, are we going to hop straight into spoilers, or do you want to do a little prelude leading up to that?
I want to do a little prelude. How long ago did you watch the first movie?
Probably a few months after it came out. You've definitely seen it more recently.
Yeah, I saw it more recently because I saw it this morning.
Yeah.
That was the second time I watched it. I couldn't really remember much of the first one. I didn't like it the first time I watched it, but I rewatched it this morning and I actually really enjoyed it. Because I don't like kids all that much in movies, and but the more I've been watching them, I think more recently, younger people have been acting better.
Yeah,
in movies.
Especially if you look back to like the 90s movies with kids in them, they're so annoying. You get to like now, the kids are actually decent actors.
Yeah, they've been directed better and they've been just used a lot better. So yeah, I much prefer watching them nowadays. And I was too harsh in my judgment the first time I watched It Chapter 1. Second time around, I liked it a lot better.
Real quick, what would you rate It Chapter 1?
I gave it 3 stars on Netflix. I give it actually like a 6 or 7. I liked it. Did you like and with that, did you like Chapter 1 better than Chapter 2?
No, I definitely like Chapter 2 more.
You like Chapter 2 more?
Chapter 1 was definitely necessary for setup, but I definitely enjoyed Chapter 2 more. It had more, not action, but more substance. There was more going on. The first one is a lot of character building, a lot of world building, a lot of kind of setting the scene. Yeah. And I'd still rate it as 6 or 7 because it was well written. Yeah. Yeah. I liked this movie. I liked it more than from what I was been getting from other reviews and things. Definitely. That I've been hearing. Everything I had been hearing said this movie was pretty bad, and I can understand about some parts, but it wasn't that bad.
How did you like the performances of the both the kid characters and the adult characters?
The actors did amazing. I feel like, especially because they shot all the scenes from 1 and all the scenes with the kids from 2 at the same time.
No.
They weren't shot at the same time?
No, they CGI'd some of their faces a little bit. I didn't notice it very much. Some people are saying they could really notice it, and I didn't see it
I got told they were shot, a lot of the shots were shot around the same time because they just reused certain shots, but I didn't notice any CG. That's what I've been hearing. Scene that you noticed it more?
No, I didn't really notice it. That's the thing.
I might have to look into that because I definitely didn't notice it.
Yeah, now in some cases maybe these are folks that have a little bit more experience movie making than I do, certainly, and so maybe they see it a little better. But I didn't notice anything that was egregious.
Interesting.
So, how did you like the CGI that was in this?
The CGI that was in this was actually really good. There was. I want to say there was maybe 1 or 2 scenes, but honestly, I can't remember them. If there were scenes where the CG was bad, I can't remember them offhand, so it couldn't have been that bad.
The finale, possibly?
The finale was good in all aspects except for how the lighting was done. I feel if the lighting was set up better, aka not what it was, it would have been a lot better. We have the technology to do good CG, it's just how much time do you want to spend on it? And the shortcut is always make the scene darker. You can't see as much.
Well, just use more deadlights. Right?
Oh my god.
Right? Oh. Just use more deadlights and you can see everything.
Oh, Justin. Oh, okay. So did you like the sound design?
Yeah, I thought it was fine. Again, I didn't notice anything that I really disliked. That would drop this down to, just kind of took me out of the movie completely.
Was there anything in particular that you really liked without being too specific?
I really like the performances, actually. Just
the acting in general?
The acting in general, yeah. And overall, the story was good. I liked how it began to unfold with the bringing the adults back, because that's not a spoiler. We all know that the adults leave.
We all know. It's in the trailers.
They all take off and they all come back. And so I think some of the references to other things, Stephen King's stuff, was a little...
Yeah, those were a bit egregious. Like, the first time, I was okay with it. The second time, I was okay with it. The third and fourth time, I got a little fed up with it. I was like, okay. Because they reference it really early, and then later on in the movie, they reference it again. But then they do the same reference 3 times in a row. Yeah. I'm like, come on, no. You can't do that.
Yeah, and, even though Stephen King Universal is the same, within the same stuff, it's kind of weird that they're all in there. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't want to say too much.
Yeah.
Me personally, I enjoyed the sound design a lot. I enjoyed a lot of the cinematography. I enjoyed how it was shot. I enjoyed the performances. I mean, they had a very good cast to work with. They really did.
Yeah, I thought they did a fantastic job with that. Okay, so we liked it. You should definitely go see it.
Please go see this movie. It was really worth it.
We are going to do... Let's see, do you want to jump into spoilers now?
Yeah, let's hop straight into spoilers.
Okay, so we're going to do spoilers, but we're not going to do our typical stuff. We're going to do, where we walk through everything. We're going to talk about things in, more like scenes that we really liked. Because it's, frankly, this movie's 2 hours and 49 minutes of jumping all over the fucking place.
There's a lot of going back to when they were kids, a lot of going to present, a lot of stuff that we don't know if it's real.
Yeah.
So this is going to be, I don't want to say speculation because that's not true. It's going to be a lot of discussion, a lot of back and forth.
Yeah. So everyone get your shower caps on.
Yes. Get your shower caps on and don't let the beam hit you on the way in.
Yeah. And watch out for Grandma. Just keep your clothes on.
Oh my god. So, Justin, how did you feel about swinging grandma titties?
Oh, man. Everything I could have ever hoped for.
That scene went... We thought it was going one way, and it just did a 90-degree turn.
Yeah, you see it from the trailers. You see Grandma acting a little funky. She's like, hey, no one's looking. Woo, dancing.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, that's interesting. How are they going to play this out in the movie? And then even in the movie, I'm like, oh, okay, I can see where this is going. And then sudden 90-degree turn.
Were you scared?
A little bit. There was actually only 2 jump scares that got me in this movie, and that was one of them.
Oh, yeah?
Because I wasn't expecting it. The other one was the lumberjack.
Okay, yeah.
In the park.
Paul Bunyan. Where he goes,
and that only scared me because I expected to see Pennywise, but then it's like 3 times bigger than what I expected, and it just threw me off guard.
So I do want to start. I kind of do want to do some of this a little chronological.
Sorry,
but no, that's great. I thought it was funny. They did kind of an Avengers Assemble type start to everything.
Yeah,
where they call up everybody. He's like, okay, everyone's got to come back. And then everyone gets their phone call, says, all right, I'm heeding the call, and take off.
Yeah, except a lot more PTSD and anxiety than that.
Yeah. And you see some of their real lives outside of Derry, and how some of them have, like, Beverly found her father to marry. And that was actually probably one of the hardest scenes to watch. It really was.
I kind of struggled sitting through that because that was a.
And who was it? Eddie? Yeah, Eddie married his mother. Right?
It's only 10 times your own body mass. You're braver than you think.
Commendable. There's someone for everyone, and some are a little bigger than others.
So we also get like Beverly. We don't really get to see what Beverly does, but then Bill is a writer, which is exactly what we expected, to be honest.
Was it? Yeah, Bill was a writer. I was looking at Bill Hader, and nope, Bill Denbrough, Bill is played by James McAvoy.
Yep.
He's a screenwriter. He's essentially the Stephen King in this.
Yeah, screenwriter, book writer. He does a little bit of everything. So
seems that way.
Yeah, Stephen King.
Beverly, played by Jessica Chastain. Richie is a stand-up comedian, played by Bill Hader. Mike Hanlon is Token, who never left, and played by Isaiah Mustafa. Ben, played by Jay Ryan. What did Ben do?
Ben was the owner of an... I don't want to say it's an architecture company, but something to do with putting buildings up.
Oh yeah, he was the... So former fat kid now is bodybuilder.
Pretty buff and definitely went from like a 2 to a 10.5.
Yeah, well, he's got a boat, so I mean...
Yeah, he's got a boat, a very nice house, and some very nice cars.
Eddie is still a hypochondriac and works for an insurance company.
As a statistics analyst for damage probability and injury.
Risk management.
Yeah.
And Stanley is the Jewish kid that he offed himself before we got there.
Yeah, I did want to talk about that a little bit.
Then let's jump right into that. It happens at the end, but...
Well, it happens at the beginning.
It happens at the beginning, but yeah. So Stanley gets the call, and then he nopes out of it, and he essentially commits suicide.
But we don't know that. And, like, the way they play it off, I half thought that's what had happened, but I kind of shoved it aside. I was like, no, because it showed the hand-cutting scene. But when it gets to that part at the end of the movie where it shows the letter, I'm like, that's both makes a lot more sense and is just as dumb.
Yeah. Did you think Pennywise had something to do with him?
I thought either that or just something had stopped him. And then when we heard he had died in the bathtub, I was like, then Pennywise already had his fangs in him. But then we find out later that no, he just offed himself to take his piece off the playing board.
Because I wasn't sure. It's like, did he just not move far enough away?
Yeah, like I was wondering if he just moved a couple counties.
Yeah, he moved to the next town over.
But no, he did commit suicide, and it's not overt the way they do it. So I don't see any reason it would bug anybody. It's just kind of abrupt how they then drop it. It's like, oh yeah, he killed himself in a bathtub. I have to go. Click from his wife later in the movie. It's like, you'd think you'd take a little more delicate with who you're telling this to, because you don't know these people. Because none of these guys remember their childhood friends anymore.
Yeah, he probably never shared his childhood with his wife, and you call up and say, "Oh yeah, I'm a childhood friend," and what just happened to him? Oh, he just killed himself yesterday.
It's like, oh shit, sorry,
wow, bad timing.
So that's a bit abrupt.
Yeah,
that's I don't know. I don't have a lot of feelings about it.
Yeah, I thought they could have, as we were discussing right after the movie, I thought I could have taken or left that suicide note. It does give a different look to what happened. Yeah. And so I thought that maybe they could have left it a little more open-ended had they not closed it off to what they said, nope, this is how it is. And it's like, you could have said, he either committed suicide because he was scared shitless, or he had Pennywise was going all over the place. You don't know.
They could have, but that's totally not Stephen King.
I know.
Stephen King closes off all of his story. Well, closes off in the way he ties up his loose ends. Yeah. That's just the type of writer he is. Will he leave cliffhangers? Yes. Will he leave certain questions unanswered? Yes. And I mean, there are plenty in this movie that are unanswered.
Yeah. The fun is just beginning. Could have used that in the opening.
Yeah. Damn, missed opportunity.
Hey everyone, the fun is just beginning. We'll just use it right now. He's like, why the hell not? I like that. And then he Bill Hader. It's part of his stand-up routine. He just starts going off on some kid that comes up to him. He's like, "Hey, Mister."
The fun just begins. That poor kid.
He turns around. He's like, "Fuck you, kid."
Yeah, fuck you. Think this is funny, you little shit? Fuck you.
The kid's just.
I'm just a fan. God damn, dude.
But I kind of liked how it could go either way with.
The issue was the minute he didn't flinch, I was like, no, he's just a fan. He's so confused. There's no way.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. It didn't work that well on me. I didn't really get the slip up.
But then he didn't know that was part of his lines because
he doesn't
write his own material.
I kind of figured that out when it came to him going on stage and he forgot all his lines. I'm like, oh, he's just really shitty at his job.
No, I don't. I thought he could have actually been freezing up because of what he just went through. Because he just had the phone call and he puked, and now he's like that. Oh, I mean, go out and perform.
I don't know. It just, to me, it didn't sync quite right. It could be hindsight. It really could, but it just, I don't know. Something about his character just annoyed me from the beginning. Like, as soon as I saw him on screen, I was like, oh, fuck, he's just comic relief.
What, Bill Hader's character?
Yes.
Well, his character, his kid, Richie, as a kid, was the worst fucking kid. I hated that character so much.
Yeah, because he was such a little shit.
And,
the entire movie.
Yeah, his jokes were all terrible. And they're all just like mama jokes.
That
and shit.
said, it's not like Stanley was any better.
No, they were all pretty bad with the jokes, actually. In the first movie.
Ben at least was like a nice kid. Bill was at least going through grief. Beverly had a shitty family life. Then they have Richie and Stanley who are just fucking shitheads throughout the entire movie.
Yeah, they're just backbiting each other.
And then
the time.
Eddie is just like, fuck you guys, leave me alone.
Yeah, but, I mean, Eddie's a hypochondriac, so he's pretty easy to beat up.
Yeah.
Just...
Fucker breaks his arm in the first movie.
Let's see, what else do we like? So, you got something?
In the way of scenes that I liked, I'm trying to think closer to the beginning of the movie. I really enjoyed the jovialness of the first scene with them all together around the table.
Oh,
I enjoyed that a lot because as soon as you start watching that scene and you get into the dialogue, I instantly felt like I was sitting around the table with a bunch of friends. Like, I felt like I was sitting in on a conversation with mutual friends.
But they didn't know that. I mean, the camaraderie was there, but they didn't have the.
They didn't quite
memories.
know why. They just knew it was there, and that's kind of like that was the tension.
Mike did. Mike knew.
Mike knew, but he also stayed quiet.
Because he knew.
Because he knew. But through that entire... actually, through most of the movie, Mike is pretty quiet until it comes to guiding them towards the end goal. He tends to take a back seat to a lot of the movie.
Well, yeah, otherwise he'd be driving the entire plot.
Yeah, but I feel like he could have been included in more. Because he is the only one who remembers how they were as kids.
I think he would give away the game then.
I think you're right. And I think that is, if you want to get into the game now, because the main reason I do suspect Mike wasn't around is because he lied to them the entire movie.
Yeah.
About why they were here, what they were going to do, what happened after they were done.
He was playing on their ignorance and their lack of memory.
Because it was for the greater good. But fuck you, dude.
Ah, damn it, Token.
Yeah, so Mike definitely took a backseat throughout the movie. Necessary, yeah. For his character to make sense, yeah. Would I have liked to see more camaraderie from him as well, like with everybody else? Yeah, I would have preferred to see more of them actually realizing the connection they have. Because you only really see it in 3 parts of this movie.
Mm-hmm.
And the rest of the time it's between separate characters. But all together, you only see it at the end and at that scene, really. And there's another part at the hotel, I guess. But that's really the only times you see them connect with each other. Otherwise, they're off in their own groups. Like, you've got Richie and Eddie, who never separate for most of the movie. got Bill, Beverly, and Ben, who stay together for most of the movie. Within, like, that circle, it's two of them together most of the movie.
So so Richie was implied to be gay.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I think he was. And that's why at the end you have R plus E.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
And that's why he loved Eddie so much, but he also gave him so much grief. Because maybe he couldn't express his feelings properly.
Standard schoolboy love, yeah.
And so that's why they were always at each other. Maybe not Eddie.
I actually hadn't
Richie.
thought about that too much, but that makes a lot more sense than how I thought about it.
Yeah.
Because I had kind of chalked it up to... I originally didn't remember there being an E there. I don't remember the E being there.
He hadn't finished it. And that's why he went back and finished it at the end.
Oh, so he was just going back and finishing it over. Okay.
Because he probably got, like, sad or something that it's never going to happen. So
okay, I assumed he had just, like... gone to clean it up some before he left.
Or possibly that. I don't know. It certainly would have been faded 27 years
Yeah,
later.
exactly.
Other
parts of this movie I enjoyed was really the end. I really liked the end.
You did?
Yeah, I enjoyed the ending a lot. Like the last hour and a half.
Oh,
so halfway up.
Yeah, that's not really the end.
The issue is saying that I only liked the end is really hard because I liked all the lead up. I liked everything that led to them going to the house.
Mm-hmm.
I really enjoyed Bill running off and going to the carnival. I enjoyed that scene. That tension was really good tension.
Yeah, because he felt guilty about his brother.
It was
dying.
Coming full circle, trying to cut the cycle off. He was trying to make it stop, and it's something I really enjoyed seeing. I wish we'd seen more of that with the other characters. Because you see it with him, and you see it with Ben and Beverly. Those are really the only ones I remember having their kind of closed off on their stories. And Eddie can't because Eddie dies.
Uh-huh.
Richie, we see him scratch his name to the post, or scratch the R and the E back in and leave. He doesn't really get a full circle. He doesn't really get a moment.
Well, he seems to be coming around to embracing who he is.
Yeah, that kind of does feel like a cop-out, though.
Yeah, well, I mean, he'd been running from it. That it wasn't very clear from the first movie, but then we get the scene in the arcade when he was young, and everyone's like, "Oh, what are you, a faggot?" And he's like, "No, I'm not," you know. And
okay, yeah.
And so this is where he's
it's
like,
kind of a full circle. Okay,
yeah,
I can see that.
He's coming around.
But then you got like Mike. Mike doesn't get around about, and I can understand why Mike doesn't, because he never left. He didn't get to complete his story till the end.
Till the very end, because then he does leave.
Then he does finally leave Derry. That makes sense. That is the closing off of his story.
Yeah, which is good for him. It's nice that he gets to go.
He gets to go to Florida.
I kind of think that he should have been a sacrifice, considering that he brought them all back. And
he should have died instead of Eddie.
You lied, you die, man. You lie, you die. That's how this works.
You lied, I died. Yeah, I really wish he would have died instead of Eddie.
Yeah.
I feel like he deserved it more than Eddie did.
Yeah. I agree with that one.
Because Eddie did everything he could. He did everything he could right and still got fucked over in the end.
Yeah, Eddie even stepped up, and he's like, "Well, if you believe it's going to kill the monster, then it will." He
struck the first blow again, not for this first time, but also the second time.
Oh, what was that? What's the quote?
Find the quote. Find the quote.
Where is it? At you killed a psychotic clown before he was 14. Who killed a psychotic clown before he was 14? Me. Who stabbed Bowers with a knife he pulled out of his own face? Also me. Who married a woman 10 times his own body mass? Me.
Yeah, you're braver than you think. So, speaking of stabbing Bowers, that scene was so well done.
getting stabbed in the face and
then just the pull behind the curtain and then immediate just follow through.
So he had to have been in shock to be able to.
He not only had to be in shock, I think he had to go behind the curtain because I don't think he could have done it face to face.
He was too much of a pussy.
I don't think as a character he could have done that straight to Bauer's face.
Yeah,
he had to go behind the curtain, and that was a good character moment.
Yeah, and then it really helped him step up later on.
Yeah, it was
in the movie
pep talk.
And in a way, yeah, it's his own pep talk that he's able to overcome stuff. But then, he froze up with the thing,
the head thing.
Yeah,
so we get. I don't want to call this a reference to The Thing.
It is an absolute reference to The Thing. You know it is. Even I know that one. I don't even like Stephen King that much. And I
don't want to say that because it doesn't resemble it enough.
Yeah, it does. What are you talking about? Spider legs coming out of the head in The Thing? That's absolutely what happens in The Thing.
Yeah, but they also did that in Dead Space.
Well, that's Dead Space. That's not a Stephen King thing.
I just don't want to attribute that to The Thing because The Thing did it so much better.
Well, of course it did. It was in The Thing first. So, but
yeah, but it's also 30 years older.
Yeah. Well, they did a remake of The Thing. You can watch that.
Yeah, it was fucking terrible. I refuse to acknowledge it exists.
I didn't. I watched it. I did.
Please don't go watch The Thing remake. It's terrible.
I watched the original too.
The original was good. Go watch that instead.
Yeah.
The head crab thing, he does freeze up and stay in the corner.
So what are the 4 references that you said you liked the first 2, but you didn't really like the last 2?
So Stephen King makes a cameo.
Yes, he does.
I enjoyed that. I enjoyed the one of the references I was including here is the books he had on the counter.
Yeah.
Were not so subtle nods to his own books.
Yeah.
Because Bill is supposed to be a stand-in for Stephen.
Yeah.
I enjoyed the first Here's Johnny.
Yeah. Yeah.
But then when they repeated it the next 2 times, I was like, okay, you can reference it once and then drown it out with something else.
That's need some more material.
You cannot repeat it 3 times in a movie full of people who like Stephen King, because the first time you'll get a good laugh. The second time you're going to get kind of, fuck you guys. The third time you're going to get people upset. And if we include The Thing, I did enjoy The Thing. I think that was a really cool scene.
I think in some ways with the Here's Johnny, it's like, okay, kill this motherfucker. You're kind of getting the audience on board with, if you do it, after the first one, you're like, funny, okay. And I'm watching, I'm enjoying it.
Yeah.
And they do it again.
And it's like now you're just getting annoyed.
End them! And yeah, after watching chapter 1 this morning, I was actually rooting for the kids to do the thing because
really
I wanted them to. I was all in. I actually found myself very invested.
That
in the
really
movie.
does shock me because you tend to be the nihilistic one when it comes to these movies.
Yeah.
We found a chink in his armor, guys. Good kid actors.
It really is good kid actors, and that I wanted them to win.
Yeah.
And but we did find one kid sacrifice that we wish would happen.
Which one?
The kid on the skateboard where he's headed out.
Oh my god. Street. Oh man. So there's a scene where Bill had just found the sewer grate where Georgie had gone missing the first time. And he sees a kid who's living in his old house who looks a lot like Georgie.
Yeah.
And he freaks out and goes, "You have to promise me you won't go near this vent. You won't go near the sewer drain. If you hear the voices, don't go near them."
I gotta go to the carnival.
So he hops on his skateboard and rides into the street. And he rides blindly into an intersection. I'm like, oh, that's it. And I full on expected a truck to go speeding by and take the fucker out.
I wanted a clown car.
I wanted something to happen there to, like, do a clean cut of the tension. Because that works really well in a lot of things. But I'm glad it didn't. Because the scene we get later with him, I enjoyed a lot more.
So then, the kid does go to the carnival and goes into the fun house. And that's where you see some of it's in some of the trailer.
Yeah, and the way they get there is pretty entertaining, too. The entire movie is it taunting the Losers Club. The entire movie is foreplay. Up until the last, 30 minutes.
Yeah. How did you like Eddie seeing the sex dungeon or the dungeon scene?
The one that made you really uncomfortable.
Okay.
When I say uncomfortable, I mean you were legitimately squirming in your seat.
It was all the needles, all the glass, all the blood, all the shit, and then it's...
Him stumbling around in it, falling down, hands first into the glass.
Yeah, it's like, keep your feet, don't touch shit, man. God damn it. Hazmat suit.
Yeah, like, this is the most visceral reaction I've ever seen out of Justin.
Yeah, I had my arms in, and I was just like, nope, just gonna not touch nothing.
I really wanted to reach over and poke him on the shoulder. I felt like I would have gotten punched, so...
Nah, I
decided against it.
I wouldn't have reacted like that.
Gut reaction, fuck!
I'd stab you with a pen.
Yeah, yeah, and then I'll take it out and stab you back. Take it out my own face.
Yeah, stab you in the face, you stab me in the chest. We both walk away. It's fine.
It's fine. So, speaking of that, do you think Bauer is alive at this point?
Bowers should be dead. Well, but, I mean, shit, I don't know. Because his buddy...
I do think he makes it out of the psych ward. I think he is real up until that point. I think after Eddie stabs him, he's not real anymore.
In the heart, you mean?
Because he gets stabbed about dead center in the chest.
Yeah, he does.
There's a lot of vital organs to hit, a lot of arteries, and...
Unless your heart is black and cold and shriveled.
And the other thing is, like, it has never shown any compassion for those he puppets.
Yeah.
Why would he heal Bauer? He wouldn't. He has no reason to.
Yeah.
Bauer's another victim to him.
He also dropped out of a second-story building. And then he was like, still has the knife in his chest before he just kind of pulls it out and, like, smiles about it.
No, he's dead. Yeah. He has to be dead by the second, and... No, we only see him the second time.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't. That should have killed him.
Yeah, he's probably dead. But
I think he's dead at that point.
But that's a problem with a lot of this. Okay, so what's real, what's fake? So Eddie, down in the dungeon thing, is the leper real?
The leper is not real. We can infer that because the leper's in the first movie.
True.
And we see him three times total if you count the first movie, because he shows up two times total in this movie, I should say. Yeah. Because he shows up twice in the dungeon. And then... Which isn't actually a dungeon, it's a basement.
It's a basement, yeah, but we're seeing this hallucination, I guess, of
it's a dreamscape hallucination bullshit.
Eddie's mother is down there. The leper is in a corner with chained up, kinda, with a cloth over him, or a sheet, so you don't know who it is, and he's trying to release his mom, and he can't get anything. It's not working for some reason.
A lot of panic. I also... So the lighting's pretty poor in this scene, but when he's touching the straps and stuff, did you see that, like, gooiness?
I did.
Okay, I wanted to make sure that wasn't just me catching lighting wrong. Do you think, like, there was just lube on the straps to stop him from getting a grip?
Who knows, man?
Because that's kind of what it seemed like to stop him from opening them so easily. Yeah. Because otherwise, how the fuck would you struggle with opening leather straps?
I don't know.
Because, like, you know how to put a belt on, right? It's the same principle.
I mean, who knows? These kids might have had, like, elastic waistbands or something.
Suspenders, elastic waistbands.
It was the 90s or 80s.
Nah, late 80s.
Late 80s. Elastic waistbands. Yeah.
How did you feel about Bill finding his old bike?
It worked. It seemed kind of weird that he was really into it, though. I mean...
Well, he was looking for a token.
But he found the whole freaking bike.
Agreed. I feel like he should have just found a bell.
But then he goes and finds the boat. He gets the boat from...
wait a minute. So that wasn't even his token.
No, it wasn't. He just wanted it to ride around.
So... I guess that could be chalked up to Pennywise again manipulating the town.
I guess in some ways you could say that he needed some way of traveling quickly around town that maybe wasn't a car, and
I was going to say, because he has his car.
But it's...
it also gave us some cool character moments, to be honest. Seeing him ride the bike and kind of reconnect, and you see the flash cuts to the old him, it gives some lightheartedness back to the movie at this point. Because at this point, we've already seen 2 or 3 people go through their tokens. I think you saw Bev, because I think she's first.
Bev goes to Grandma's house,
and we'll touch on that afterwards. I really do want to talk about that after this.
Okay. And Richie goes to the arcade, and then we get Stephen King. Ain't No Stan Lee is what I wrote. Yeah. Just saying.
So we see those two, and they get very intense, and then you have this lighthearted one to break the tension for a minute, and then you immediately get the sewer drain, and the tension cuts back on.
Yeah.
And you get the kid, and the tension builds more, and then you get further in, and the more tokens, the higher the tension gets. It was a needed tension break to keep pacing good. The thing about tension is, if you keep it for too long, the audience loses all suspense. Mm-hmm. You can't hold that for super long. I think they did pretty well at giving us I think that's why Eddie worked so well. Eddie and Richie worked so well in this movie. We needed those stop gaps, because if we had just been tension the entire movie, it would have lost its stakes. But having them be buffers for us worked really well to kind of cut with humor and be exactly that, comic relief.
Yeah, I thought, I really enjoyed this. I don't know. I'm trying to...
I'm thinking I'm going to raise my rating up, because the more I talk about this, the more I realize I didn't just enjoy this movie, I got giddy watching this. That hasn't happened in a while.
I thought the characters, I thought everything, it's 2 hours and 49 minutes long. And it's
90% dialogue.
Yeah, and it's actually useful. I can't cut out very much of the movie.
Which is rare.
2 hours and 49 minutes. Oh my god. I
mean, I could see an editor going through and doing small cuts to make scenes go along faster. Mm-hmm. But honestly, there are a lot of scenes where, while I could see somebody doing that, I could also see it ruining a scene.
Yeah.
Like when you get with Ben and Bev on the staircase talking about the postcard.
Yeah.
There's a good 10-second gap of just dead silence. If you cut that, you're cutting a lot of the tension and drama that got built in that scene.
We were rooting for that relationship.
Oh my god. So, when she gets the postcard, she doesn't know it's from Ben. Because it just gets dropped in her locker, from what I remember.
No, she somehow gets it home. She finds it in her bag, in her backpack.
Really? Okay.
And then she pulls it out, and then she goes to... This is why I watched chapter 1 earlier.
I just can't remember where she got it.
Yeah. No, it ends up in her bag, and then she goes and while they're cleaning up the bathroom after all the blood's in the bathroom from the first one, she then says the line from the poem, and Bill's like, "I don't do poetry." And she's like, "Oh, not you. Okay." And then she doesn't really figure out where it comes from. I think later on in chapter 1, it is dropped in that it's him. It's a fatty and
Ben.
Ben, yes,
he has a name.
Tits.
Just call them by their defining character trait.
Sorry.
Red hair.
Sorry, Benjamin. But Ben and Bev. There you go. It's. Yeah.
Ben, Bev, and Bill.
They're made for each other. Ben goes and eventually says, or kind of lets on that it was him, but then that was as children. As they come back, they've forgot all about that. Yeah,
they've lost all their childhood memories.
But Ben hasn't forgot it, apparently, that did this thing. Which is a little weird. It's like, out of all the things you remember, maybe
it would make sense, because it doesn't look like he gave up on that relationship, because he's the only one who comes back without having a significant other. He is the only one who isn't married.
And Bill Hader's character, because he's the gay man.
Yeah.
I mean, he doesn't have one.
Oh yeah, I remember he makes a joke about being married to Eddie's mom.
Yeah.
In the beginning of the movie, and I was like, snap.
We're doing more of this shit. God damn it.
Well, it was good. It was really good. And the fact that Eddie kind of slowly lightens up to the jokes, he stops being so defensive.
Yeah.
And slowly lightens up to the jokes near the end of the movie. I really enjoyed that. It was character growth.
Yeah.
Needed.
So that's the thing I really like about this movie, is I found a lot of characters actually grew. And as we said, a lot of the characters came full circle with their stories, and after spending 5 hours with Spooky Clown, I really like the whole story from what I got.
So correct me if I'm wrong. Pennywise played a much bigger part of this movie than he did in the first one. He had more screen time. Not only did he have more screen time, but more... Well, I don't want to call them hallucinations because they break that line so easily, but more of the reality changing happens in this movie than it did in the last one.
I have no idea what is reality and what isn't in these movies.
Yeah.
It's hard. I'd have to watch it again and try and like figure out all the pieces of what's real, what is, because it's almost like a Freddy Krueger and
that's the exact same feel because it's impossible to tell. It's seamless transitioning.
Yeah.
Though let's touch on Bev because I know you're really interested in doing that.
Oh. Yeah, so, well, wait, what part of Bev?
Her token.
Her token. So she goes into she goes to see her house or her apartment. Yeah. So when she showed up to her apartment, it looked nice. And then as she left, it looked run down.
That was definitely a reality warping thing. You gotta remember, something they bring up...
Actually, I didn't even know that was the thing I needed to be paying attention to until afterwards. They show the reverse shot of back up, and I'm like, wait, it didn't look like that.
We ran into that in the first one minorly. They never did anything on that scale in the first one, I don't think. I think it was always just different, like the balloons that nobody else ever saw.
Or the blood in the bathroom.
Where
that
it was
Dad
real, but Dad couldn't see it. Or like when it really starts ramping up in power, he manipulates the TV broadcast.
Yeah.
We see a lot more of him controlling the town in this movie.
Yeah, we do.
There are multiple scenes where you'll just see the background characters completely stop and stare at the main characters.
Paul Bunyan's scene.
During that entire first part of that scene, they're all just staring at him. And then they suddenly disappear when the statue starts going nuts.
Yeah. It's... I mean, this whole...
So...
The
thing about Pennywise, from what I remember, is Pennywise is basically a force of nature. He's an eldritch cosmic horror. Reality warping only appears to be, localized. He doesn't seem to be able to affect anything other than Derry, because otherwise the kids would be affected at where they live now, as they grew up.
Yeah.
It seems to just be Derry.
How does his power wax and wane?
Yes, with the cycles.
With the cycle of every 27 years.
So, he's got to slowly ramp up. Because you notice, in the beginning, he's got to lure kids to him. But near the end, he's able to just pull kids into traps.
Yeah.
There's no luring needed at the end where he kills the kid in the funhouse. The kid just went there and he said, "Nah, I'm just going to make this funhouse your death." I really did enjoy that scene a lot.
It was... Yeah, so that's the thing about this, that kid is now dead. And no one seems to care. That's the...
Well, they do. They put up missing wanted, missing posters and stuff like that to find them, but it's, they bring it up in the first movie, I'm pretty sure, where it's just, this happens every 27 years, and has for the entire history of the town. Yeah,
I want to know why people don't bail on this town. It's like, man, the jobs is just too good.
I really want to chalk it up to people forget after a while.
Or they're being controlled or something,
Well, when he's in power, we could totally argue they're being controlled. But during those 27 years of downtime, he can't control them. Because he's completely dormant. There's no evidence that he does anything in those 27 years.
Okay, yeah, but then you have the parents act so weird. But
only after he awakens do they act so weird.
But we don't know, because we don't know their history. We don't know how long Beverly's father has been an asshole. We don't know. I mean, he seemed to be...
Fair. I would argue he's been that way the entire time, because it's been... we're led
Bauer's
to believe
father
it's been
terrible.
Yeah. There's always going to be shitty parents.
But they're all shitty. We didn't see any good parenting in this whole fucking place.
I'd argue against that. Bill's parents in the first movie weren't shitty until
Bill's
later.
Parents weren't there.
They were there. There was a few scenes with them in it where they interacted with Bill.
Okay, yeah. His dad, where he's like, Georgie's dead. You gotta take all this shit down.
Months afterwards.
It was several months afterwards, yeah, and he had given up.
And that's also during Pennywise's upcycle, when he's really gaining power.
So he could have been influencing that.
That's kind of the issue. We don't have enough information, and even if I went and read the book right now, I don't think there's enough information there to give us a full picture of how Derry is during downtime.
Stephen King, call us.
Yeah, please.
We have special guest Stephen King to answer these questions, dude.
So, from what I am led to believe, during those 27 years, he is completely dormant, maybe has a lingering effect on the parents and the town of Derry.
Well, see, you gotta watch all these other movies.
Well,
right?
But during his upswing, he tends to have a much more direct effect on reality.
Yeah.
He seems to be able to just affect the entire town as his playthings.
Yeah.
And that kind of takes out hallucinations completely. Now it's actual reality bending, because I'm trying to think of a situation where something happens and nobody gets affected. Like, physically affected, I mean. Because, like, you get the leper who pukes on him in both the first and the second chapter. You get, I don't think he pukes on him in the first one. I think he attacks him in the first one. Yeah. But he does get thrown to the ground, I think. No, yes. I'm pretty sure he does puke on his face in the first one. He holds him down and pukes on him, right? I think so.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. There's a scene in there where he does start going after him. He steals one of his pills.
Yep.
And I don't remember if there's puking, but
then it at least happens in the second one, and he's stuck with that puke on him until he gets up and cleans himself off.
Yeah.
Then you have, like, Bauer's dead friend. Bauer's corpse friend.
Yeah.
Who drove the T-Bird.
Who's literally driving a car.
Is still, and the T-Bird's still there.
Well, we assume it's real.
It has to, well, that's the distinction between, we have to have the distinction between hallucinations and real. With these characters affecting our characters, it can't be a hallucination.
Yeah.
A hallucination would be the mirror.
Yeah.
That's the one situation I can recall offhand where when they did something, it reversed the effects immediately.
Yeah, that was interesting.
The restaurant scene.
That was all hallucination.
That was all hallucination.
Man. Yeah.
But those are the only 2 times I can recall offhand. Otherwise, they always affect the characters almost permanently. Because, like, when Eddie gets stabbed, he does die. Not in the face, but in the chest by Pennywise. He does die.
Mm-hmm.
And he is gone. He's dead.
Yeah. So that's the thing. Is like when Pennywise actually kills you, you're actually dead. But...
So do we want to say it's almost like Nightmare on Elm Street, where your dreams don't kill you, he does?
It's kind of, yeah.
But then we also see things... It's so it's inconsistent, but it's only inconsistent because we don't know the rules.
Yes.
I bet if we had a bigger picture, this would be a lot less inconsistent. That said, I enjoy it. I enjoy the mind games. I'm a psychological horror guy. I love... You don't like Stephen King, but I like The Mist.
Well, no, I've watched like all of his movies, or most of definitely most of the movies.
Have you seen The Mist?
Yeah, isn't okay. So if The Mist is the one I'm thinking of, they're in a supermarket or something, and then they eventually leave, but then they're like, we can't get out, and so then they shoot everybody, and there's one guy left, and then the guys show up with the fire.
Yeah,
and start. Okay, yeah. See, I saw it.
I loved that movie. I watched that movie, I think, with my dad at age 8. I have loved that movie since then. I have gone back and watched it over that every year. My dad's a horror guy. Judge him how you will. Dad, I know you're listening. It was a good movie. And I still go back and watch The Mist every once in a while. Uh-huh. But it's that type of psychological... It doesn't even have to be a giant monster. Mm-hmm. Just the fear and the characters is all you need to create a real sense of suspense. Yeah,
I like a lot of the mind game ones, like I Am Mother. It's that type of one where you can start looking. You start looking at one layer, and then you go to the next layer and the next layer.
And it hurts your head.
Because you're trying to keep it all together, and you're just like, I don't even know
we need to watch I Am Mother again. Not even for the podcast. If you guys do want to see this, though, let us know. I want to watch I Am Mother again, and we both need to sit down with like a computer and type out the different connections that we see. Because there's a lot of stuff that we need to do.
I got 2 pages of really good notes on that.
We do. No, I want to use your notes too, but I want to go through with a fresh watching and do it as we're watching.
Maybe you need to. I saw it twice.
I feel like that would be really cool to do. Well, I mean, like me and you sit in the same room and do it. Okay. Like, not do it separately. I mean, like sit in the same room, watch it together, and then talk about it during the movie because we've both seen it. We know what happens.
Yeah. Spoil nothing. Huh.
But that aside, back to this movie. Giant psychological horror is my thing, and this did it very well because it bounced back and forth between him reality warping or making them hallucinate to them just being scared of day-to-day shit.
Mm-hmm.
Like when the kid comes up to him in the restaurant, he is scared of that kid before any of the real mind games begin.
Yeah. Well, that's the game had already started. I mean, as soon as the phone call came in, the game started, as we saw with the suicide.
Had Bill never gone to the sewer grate, that scene would have never happened. There was no reason for him to go there, except for looking for the token. Yeah. Had he used a different token, there was no need for that sewer scene to happen.
Yeah, man.
It's just a lot of this movie was the characters being led through their own personal hells. This reminds me, now that I think about it that way, this reminds me of Silent Hill.
Yeah, sure. I can go. I'll go there. I never played the games, but I saw the movie.
The movie doesn't allude to it quite as well.
It's not as good.
No, it's not. But the premise behind Silent Hill is you're in your own personal hell. No two people see Silent Hill the same way.
Yeah.
That's why Pyramid Head should only appear in one iteration, because technically he shouldn't appear for anybody else. But
right.
It's their staple character. They'll have him appear as much as they want.
Yeah.
The nurses are different, but sorry, getting off tangent. I don't know. This movie is really hard to... This is another one of those movies. We encountered this a lot early when we started this podcast, where we'll hit movies. It is really hard to break these movies down.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's just so many layers.
So why did we have... What was up with Nudie Grandma? Why was she a thing? Why was that Bev's thing? Why her? I don't understand.
I'm actually not sure.
Nudie Grandma. Yeah.
Like I could probably come up with a reason. It wouldn't be a good reason, but I'm not 100% sure.
Okay. That's I don't know. She was just kind of fun.
All I can think of would be that she was actually Pennywise's daughter. Originally, not in her current form, but originally she was related to the actual Pennywise.
So is that like a daughter-father thing that Bev had with her own relationship?
Yeah, because that would let it kind of connect, but that doesn't mean anything to Bev until she says, I was always Daddy's little girl.
Yeah.
And even then, it's kind of a loose connection. It could also be that Bev would have trusted her more than anybody else. Like an old grandma saying, come in for tea and cookies. Bev's more likely to trust them than anybody else. If it had been any dude, she would just walked out.
Well, yeah, okay. You gotta put something there too, and so might as well be that.
Yeah, might as well be something somewhat convincing.
I mean, you could have had just a rundown building and it would have been not all that scary or whatever, you know. She walked into the rundown building and then stuff happened.
I would have liked a rundown building more. They could have done more with it. They could have made the entire thing a horror house.
They kind of did, though, with Nudie Grandma.
They did.
More psychological horror, which is exactly what this was going for.
I don't know. I could see them doing some interesting stuff with the entire building being abandoned, but I also really like how they did her scenes. I liked the entire she walks up to this building, seeing it as it was. Like, the clean transition between her memory to the building doesn't change between that transition. Yeah. And it's something I picked up as soon as I saw it. I was like, wait a minute. This doesn't look run down enough. Like, it doesn't look old enough. Because it looked old in the first one. But now it looks the same. I was like, that's a little sketchy. But I quickly got lost in thought because you start with the grandma conversation. Mm-hmm. And once you're into that, you kind of lose that bit of doubt. So, yeah, it was a good psychological horror scene.
Yeah. I mean, all of this is really good psychological horror.
Good psychological horror.
I really enjoyed this movie. And so when I keep saying that, because I can't find anything to really hate about it.
Yeah, like I'm
that means
actively
it's gonna
trying
get-
to find something to hate, and I can't, like...
All of our podcasts are pretty much hate on movies and picking
Yeah.
them apart, and so...
We're trying to stay in brand, but at the same time, there's just not a lot about this movie to hate. The only thing I can say is they do the same thing that Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark did, where they very much play up a lot of the bigotry and a lot of the racism.
I think that really came from Bowers himself.
Well, not just Bowers.
Well, his little group of guys.
Well, it wasn't even just Bowers' group.
Who was
It wasn't just Bowers, because the people in the beginning of the movie wasn't Bauer. When the gay couple gets attacked,
okay.
that's not Bauer. That's just
that was
people
at the
in
very,
town.
very beginning.
Also, for everybody out there who's read a lot of articles recently about that scene being so gruesome...
Oh, is that the scene that people don't like?
Yes, it's a 5-minute scene. Yes, it's gruesome, but it's not out of turn for what Stephen King meant for this movie. When he wrote the book, that's in the book. Stephen King based Derry off of a town he grew up in and the bigotry in that town.
Yeah.
So this is the interview I was looking up in the car.
Okay.
He talks about there was a murder in his town of a gay man by a bunch of teenagers.
Yeah.
And that was a big thing when he was writing the original iteration of it. And when this company came up and was like, hey, we want to make your books into movies again. We want to do a new remake. He's like, okay. And they all agreed to keep the scene in because it's a reflection of America, of where he saw it happening. That was his America at that point.
Yeah, I don't understand how people do it, have that type of reaction and have that type of hate. I've never quite got it.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's hard to understand bigotry unless you are one. It's really hard to say, I can understand where they're coming from unless you truly see where they're coming from.
Yeah. Well, it's sort of like Bowers and his friends in the first movie, and they go and they slice up Ben's belly.
Yeah.
And then the one kid pulls out his Zippo and a can of whatever and starts spraying. He's like, I'm gonna burn your face off. It's like, holy shit, dude, you are talking about murdering him. And the other one's got he tries using the sheep the gun.
Rimfire. No, it's not a rimfire gun. It's a
whatever, the thing that you stab
it's used
into
to put down
animals.
animals for livestock.
Yeah, and he almost pulls that off and almost kills him. And then they have right before the rock fight. Bowers has a rock and he's about to smash into Black Kid's face, and it's like, holy shit, you're about to murder these people.
Well, for Bowers specifically, I really want to say that's Pennywise. I want to say Pennywise has already got him puppeted.
Yeah, I don't know, because it seems he's pretty consistent. He's pretty on brand all the way through.
Yeah, he's pretty much a shitty person, but I think it escalates really hard when we pick up the story.
Sure, but his father was a terrible person, but I kind of hate that. It's like, oh, you're a terrible guy because you had daddy issues or some shit.
Yeah.
And it's like, fuck off. It's the same thing in Scary Stories.
Yeah, there's
they're like, oh, you're racist because your dad's an asshole, and it's like, fuck you. No, this kid's still a piece of shit. I don't care that his dad's an asshole and all that. He's still messed up, and so we got to take care of the kid. You're trying to make me feel sympathy for him. I have no sympathy for him because he's still an asshole.
Did you ever watch Dread? The recent one. Not the one with Stallone, the one with
Carl Urban.
Yes, you did watch that?
Yes, I did.
Okay. You remember Mama? The main bad guy?
I think so. I kind of don't remember that movie that well.
Alright, I'm going to do a light synopsis because this is pretty on point and something that I want to bring up. I was watching a review of that movie because I really did like that movie, and I actually went back and watched it last week.
Yeah. I like the story.
Mama is portrayed as a victim throughout the movie. Mm-hmm. Like, she's bad because she was a victim. And the guy reviewing the movie said it, I'm going to paraphrase, he basically said that there comes a point where you being a victim no longer excuses your actions. There hits a level where it starts becoming from victimizing to accountability.
Yeah.
And that's why in the movie, when the rookie spares the one hacker's life because he's just a victim, she wouldn't do the same for Mama because she's doing it on her own volition, not because she's being forced. So she's no longer a victim.
Okay.
It's kind of the same thing with Bauer.
Yeah.
Bauer was a victim. He is no longer a victim anymore. He has no sympathy gained. He just has to be accountable.
Yeah.
Same thing for the Scary Stories kid.
Yeah.
He has to be accountable at some point.
Yeah.
And I don't like playing with those morality tales, but at the same time, they're needed. It's exactly that. It's a morality tale. It's don't be this dickhead.
Yeah.
It's pretty much all it is.
Well, don't be a total fuckwad to your kid, and then, hey, kids...
Don't be a total fuckwad to other people.
Yeah.
It's a simple... Don't be a dick is the golden rule of life.
Pretty much.
And Derry does not abide at all.
So there's your parenting from two people who have no children.
Fair enough.
How to parent.
How to parent from two people who have no children. Da-da-da. So the end of this movie, it seemed like you wanted to talk about bits of the end of this movie.
Yeah, okay, so I thought that this movie, for being 2 hours and 49 minutes long, it didn't actually have to be quite this long. It felt like it ended several times over. Like I said, you don't really... I mean, you could have gone either... I could go either way with the letter. It gave closure to some of the stories, which were good. I guess, yeah, it was good but at the same time, it could have just ended after Pennywise is defeated, and it could have just ended, and I wouldn't have been upset with that.
Well, I agree. I don't feel like, me personally, I don't feel like I would feel such a sense of full circle without seeing him drive out of Derry and seeing Bill writing the book.
Yeah,
and because we pick up with Bill and he can't write. Like, he's struggling. He's staring at a computer screen with literally 2 words on it.
He's got writer's block, and then
at the end of the movie, he starts writing about their story.
Yeah, and he can never come up with a good ending, which
he thinks he finally has a good ending.
Yeah,
and to
we'll
him,
see.
It makes sense why he doesn't have any good endings, because he never got closure. He was stuck without closure for so long. So now he's got his good end. Now he's got his actual ending, so he can write better endings. He knows what an ending looks like.
Yeah. Mike drives out of town. Bev and Ben end up on a boat
together,
and
Richie carves redoes or carves him and Eddie's initials into the bridge, and Bill finishes up writing.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think those endings aren't all that bad. It just kind of felt like it dragged on a little bit.
I feel like
too
the
long.
letter really kind of started pushing it. I feel like ending with Bill and I can't remember his name.
Mike.
Yeah, Bill and Mike talking, and then cutting to Richie, and then cutting to Bill and Bev would have been fine, or Ben and Bev would have been fine. That would have been a good ending.
Yeah.
Adding in the note, while I originally was like, okay, that makes sense, I'm kind of torn. Because the way they word it, they sent that to everybody.
Yeah.
How do they have everybody's address? Why would he bother if he knows he's going to die and he knows they're going to find out? Why bother?
Yeah.
Like, he's not going to get closure out of it anyways, because he doesn't even know if they win.
Yeah. He's like, if you're reading this, I guess you won.
And the way that the movie starts is with him dying, so it instantly invalidates the letter even being there. So I'm kind of taking your stance on it that you had in the car, where it's kind of like, it doesn't fucking matter. The letter doesn't matter. No. Could have cut that, and it's like, the letter's a good 10, not 10, probably like 2 or 3 minutes where they focus on like the letter. It's like, that's dumb. Cut it. Yeah. I was more thinking about the last fight.
The very last fight did seem to drag on a little bit too long as well. Or are you talking about the part where they like start?
Not that. I meant like the entire thing in that underground cavern.
That did go a long time.
It did go long, but I'm also not opposed. Like, it didn't feel like it went long for no reason.
No, it felt fine.
It just did go on for a little while.
Yeah. And so it also felt like Pennywise pulled punches a little too much, and it might have been because, like, you know, every time he got insulted, then he's like, I'm weak for a second. And so that's...
Well, the thing is, Pennywise isn't out to kill. like I think they explained it in the first movie where their fear just makes them taste all that much better. He sustains himself off of fear.
Yeah.
And fear and different negative emotions. So having them being as terrified as possible before he finally ends them is his goal. He's a greedy monster. That's like with the kid. He could have easily reached through that glass and killed the kid. But instead, or in the mirrors.
In the fun room, yeah.
But instead, he makes that kid watch him bash his head against that mirror until it shatters, and then finally bites him.
But he's also getting it from getting it from Bill.
Because Bill's trying to save him.
Yeah.
And it's like, he's building up that fear, so when he finally consumes you, you're the tastiest little thing he's ever had. So I can see also, a way to condense that down, like, mentally, think about all of those scenes where, like, you've got Bill on his own, Bev on her own, Ben on his own, all of those happening at once. Yeah. And that kind of condenses it, but you can't show that in a movie. Like, there's no way to time that in a movie. Unless they show split screen of all of them.
Oh, God. Where do I pay attention?
That's, like, mentally, that's how I compartmentalized it to make it seem shorter, I guess, because it didn't feel that long and drawn out, but now I'm thinking about it, there was a good, like, that end scene was a good 30 minutes. It had to have been. Yeah. Like, just in the cavern.
Yeah, it was. It did take a long time.
Not to mention getting out and then talking.
They had to get into the house, and then they had to go down, and then they had to pull up the trap door, and then they had to go down that, and then they had to do the ritual and stuff, and it's like, oh my God.
But during that, there was a lot of dialogue, a lot of character talking, a lot of important stuff, but it just...
No, I agree with you.
I know, I'm saying that more for the viewers than you.
Okay.
Like, we're not hating on these scenes.
No.
It just did feel long, but we came in expecting a close to 3-hour movie.
It felt like it was supposed to be long. It didn't actually feel that long because it felt like important things were happening.
Yeah.
It's just like... It still did take forever.
Yeah.
In like a 2-hour and 49-minute movie.
Hindsight, we're like, wow, that was a long set of scenes.
You couldn't have done this any better, but...
I don't feel like they could. I don't feel like they could get that much character progression had they cut more corners.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of what it is that they could have cut, and I don't know. So,
like, my prime example is Bill on the bike. Like, if you cut that, you cut out not only a tension breaker, but also a good character growth moment. Yeah. Like, the sewers. The sewers are also a stopgap for tension. Because in the sewers, they're not doing anything but walking and talking for the most part. There's no real tension there until they get to the cavern. Like, the big area with the trap door. Yeah. And you get the first bit of tension.
Trap door was where the bodies were all floating the first time, all the kids.
That's where she was floating.
Yeah. Where she saw the dead lights.
But I don't know. There's so much stuff that I would look at as somebody going through editing a video and go, we could cut that. But then if I watch that video all the way through after cutting it, I wouldn't feel satisfied. Yeah. Because you're missing out on so much. Yeah. Is there anything else you want to bring up?
The bunker scene. It just...
Oh, with the clubhouse?
Bunker. Yeah, the clubhouse. He built that clubhouse thing, and then it kind of felt like it was just sort of tacked on there. It didn't really serve all that much of a purpose.
Was it in the first one?
Nope.
Okay, because I was going to say, I don't remember it.
Not
but
at all.
It would make sense if they had a clubhouse.
Sure, but
it does definitely feel tacked on.
Yeah, because then it only serves a purpose of when Bev is in the... when Bev and Ben get split apart to each deal with their own thing, Ben is being buried. Bev is in the
bathroom stall where she had already gotten bullied before.
Yeah, and so it's like, where is... Like, that makes sense for Bev. It doesn't make sense for Ben.
But I don't know where else Ben would have gone.
I don't either. So,
and that said, they also found Stanley's token there. The shower cap.
Oh, the shower cap. Yeah. Okay. So that was useful for that.
Yeah.
But
it is kind of tacked on and they didn't spend that long on it. All things considered, and I'm kind of glad they didn't. They bring it up a few times, but it's never for more than 5 minutes at the most.
There's a couple conversations that happen down there between the kids.
Oh,
and so it's like, it's fine for some character building and some look back stuff because they didn't put it in the first movie. But
and especially because we get a lot of scenes we didn't get in the first movie because they've forgotten. And so something I want to bring up, the way we're watching these, like the way we watch this, we get to see their childhoods first.
Yeah.
But then we learn that they can't remember certain bits. So we're going back and watching their memories as they're remembering them.
Yes.
Do you think the first movie is his book?
Is
Bill's book. The way it's written out. Because why would he include some of the other Pennywise stuff? Like, it feels out of sync, but in a weird way. Why would it be out of sync for us? Why? Other than good storytelling. Because I really enjoyed that. But at the same time, why would it have been? Why would them not remembering affect us? You could just say they just don't remember it happening. Because it also encompasses, like, the clubhouse.
Sure.
It's just, I don't know. It's just something I want to throw out there. I was hoping to start a conversation.
I don't know where to go with the conversation. Sure. I mean, I don't know. I mean, yes, no. It does. I don't know. I guess. I mean,
what don't you like about it? Because it seems
like
you do.
Okay. No, I'm fine with it.
Okay.
It's like,
it's just there's nothing really to confirm or deny. It's kind of the issue. We don't. And that's
I'm
a lot of the movie is the issue. There's a lot of stuff we can't confirm or deny. Like, honestly, I half don't believe Mike's bullshit for how he got that. Like, what led up to this ritual. I don't believe he went and saw some mystics.
And then he stole their stuff.
Yeah, I truly don't believe that's what happened.
I don't either. So he's kind of a unreliable narrator.
Especially, yeah, exactly. He lied to them at the very beginning and lied to them all the way up until the end.
Yeah. And
it didn't even work anyways.
Not exactly how... No, it didn't. I mean...
Yeah, it didn't work at all. He broke right out.
Yeah. You guys didn't believe hard enough.
The only thing that he used from what he said was their rules was the what was it? It was something along the lines of they have to operate within the rules of their body.
Yeah. And so that's it. So you have to operate within the rules of the body. So then they wanted to draw Pennywise to a smaller space. So then he would have to shrink down from being the giant spider guy into a smaller version of himself. And then they could defeat him.
Yeah.
Because but that also that didn't come from Mike. That came from Eddie, who was saying as he was a leper, when Pennywise was acting as the leper was super weak.
Yeah, but they also brought up that, like, them knowing how it works was fine, but he brings up that rule with, yeah, that's an example, but he brings up that rule with, Bill, when he shows him the spirit trip.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Because he does drop it there, too. So he knew about the rule in the cavern, but didn't realize it until Eddie's talking about how he choked out a leper in a basement.
So maybe they're like figuring it out because it's like, one data point isn't enough. Two data points. Okay, now we got a trend.
And then when you've got, there's 7 of them total, 6 of them in this movie.
Yeah. You've
got 6 data points to work off of. And that's kind of how I like that. I like the fact that it requires all of them to be together to defeat Pennywise. It gives a reason for the Losers Club to be there. Yeah. That said, fuck you, Stanley, for not being there.
Yeah, dude.
I really don't like the letter.
He copped out.
Yeah, he copped out. He copped out of it and tried making up for it with the letter.
Yeah.
And to me, that's kind of a, I don't want to say it this way, but it's kind of a fuck you to people who have suicidal thoughts. Because he makes it seem like a cop-out. It's like,
Yeah. Well, he's like, you guys, if we're going to do this, we have to be all in, and I just couldn't do it, and so...
Yeah, now there could fucking Eddie, he manned up at the end.
Yeah, he showed up.
I don't know, that kind of, the more I think about that, the more it actually starts annoying me. That might be the only part of this movie I didn't like, was the letter.
I kind of wish, just for the sake of avoiding any kind of disparaging remarks and stuff, or thoughts, that they didn't do it to the Jewish guy.
Yeah, I actually hadn't thought about that. Oh.
It's like, why did you pick the Jewish guy? I mean, what if you did it to, like, the black guy, the one black guy or something? You know, and that wouldn't be very good either.
Yeah, that's kind of fucked up. I didn't think about that.
All these other characters you could have done it to, and instead you chose the one Jewish guy, the token Jewish guy.
I actually don't know if he I don't remember that much.
So I don't know if that's a thing, but
remember.
But at the same time, it's like, well, you got to pick somebody. So
yeah, and I mean, honestly, from what I remember of Stanley as a kid, he wouldn't have been that fun as an adult.
No,
he was making a puzzle from what we saw. So
yeah, at the beginning,
we got good characters.
That was a pretty difficult puzzle, though.
It was a large puzzle.
It was a large puzzle of eyes and shit. It was weird. Birds.
It was all birds.
Yeah.
How did you only see eyes? Justin, are you projecting?
I don't know. It was bird eyes. It was a whole lot of shit. Yeah, so, I don't know. I didn't really pay attention that much to the puzzle.
What would you rate this movie, Justin?
So I thought I was going to give it like a 6 or a 7. I'm going to give it a solid 8. I don't know. I don't want to give it the highest scores just because I don't. I mean, I didn't.
Just because you can't find anything to hate about it doesn't mean it deserves a high score.
Yeah. So that's how I feel about this. It's an 8. You could really convince me. You could convince me a little bit higher, but you know,
no, I feel comfortable.
Think
8's a solid. It's a good movie. I genuinely enjoyed this movie a lot more than I thought I would.
Mm-hmm.
Usually when they do these movies in 2 parts, Hobbit, they fuck up the second part somehow.
Yeah.
But this turned out really good.
Yeah.
This did everything I thought it would. So I can't complain. I liked it. So yeah, that's an 8 from both of us.
Okay. Now there's one thing that I wanted to talk about.
Oh.
You haven't seen it yet. Do you want to watch the trailer real quick and then
what trailer
for C? Okay, so Apple is going to put out their Apple streaming service, and
because of course they are
$5 a month or something, $6 a month, something like that. And
well,
they've announced a handful of shows, and I have no interest in any of this shit. But they released their big movie, and it's called C, or no, it's a show. It's a show.
Okay.
It's called C. And C, it stars Jason Momoa, and it stars black lady from Suicide Squad.
The head woman?
Yeah.
I don't remember her name, but I know who you're talking about.
And everybody is blind in the future. So it's in the future, it's in dystopia, and there was a virus, and it's like messed up people's sight, and 90% of the people died. So there's only 10%, and the 10% that's still alive can't see anything. And so then they still have kids and stuff. Somehow they still work things out. They're like riding horses through the woods and shit. Who the fuck knows how?
The horses can see.
But if you get smacked in the face with a branch...
you deserve it.
They're still shooting bows and arrows.
Okay, that's dumb.
And I think they have to throw spears. Because I don't know how they kill anything. Because people are slow. And, I mean, the reason why we see so good, we have front eyesight, is because seeing is our best trait. And our big brains. But if you give us nothing else... then we are pretty useless. We're slow. We don't hear good. We don't smell good. Our sniff.
I know what you meant.
We're not well equipped. We have fingernails and shit. We don't have claws, and we don't have fur and stuff like that. But these guys are all tailored up real nice in their furs and clothing, even though it'd be all haphazard because no one could see anything. So you're just like, yeah, whatever. It just kind of fits on you. They have their hair braided. One of them's wearing a crown because she's the queen or something. To be
fair, I've braided hair without looking before. So.
Okay, but if everyone's blind, you're not doing it for looks.
No.
They have face paint. They have war paint on. Who the fuck for?
Okay, I need to watch this, but
so
we can't watch it live because we only have speakers and we'll get hit with copyright.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So we'd have to pause.
We can pause and come back to this.
All right, guys, we're putting you on pause for a moment.
Okay.
Welcome back, everybody. Nice to meet you.
Do we need to?
No.
All right,
we can drop right into it.
Okay, so we just saw.
Fuck this trailer.
The trailer for Apple TV's C, starring Jason Momoa and Alfre Woodard, and it's as stupid as I was just describing.
Yeah, it looks so dumb. I have no interest. I know so many people have been going nuts over it.
Yeah, it's the big
no
thing.
Interest.
Because Jason Momoa looks exactly the same as Jason Momoa has looked in everything he's ever done. He's got long hair. He still has a beard. Why anyone is trying to groom or anything, I don't know. But he looks really clean, and his beard looks. I'm not saying anything about your beard. I'm just saying, if we're all blind, no one gives a fuck what you look like, bro.
Yeah, and the face paint, the ornate stuff they have going on, I don't like it.
She's got a motherfucking crown. No one can tell.
It's for her confidence.
I guess. I don't know.
And she also has a seeing eye dog.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay. So there's one seeing eye dog in the whole world. You would think everyone would have them.
I don't like it. I don't have any interest. I don't even have any interest in discussing it because it's dumb. It's easier for me to just write it off, to be honest.
Yeah. And so what it's about is like the kids are being born with sight, and I guess they grow up a little bit over the course of the movie.
Yeah, because you see them as teenagers.
Yeah.
They're like reading books. They're reading 1984.
How the fuck could they read anything? We've lost all ability to know what alphabet.
Who taught you how to read?
Yeah.
Who taught you what the alphabet is?
Look at all the pretty pictures.
Yeah, in 1984.
In the book of 1984.
The soft cover version.
Which has a lot of words.
Yeah.
But, yeah, just sound it out. It's fine.
It's so dumb.
And so... Yeah, they want to kill. The one tribe wants to kill the people with sight. Even though, let's think about this for a second. I imagine all the newborn children are gonna have sight. So this is gonna be a new thing now. They're all. I mean, you're gonna get more.
Yeah,
more are gonna
it's
have
just
sight.
gonna
You're
keep
just
happening.
Like, oh shit, this one's can see too. Fuck this. Dead.
Fuck it, throw it off the mountain. What, are we going back to Spartans?
I guess. I don't know. But we're now, instead of throwing off the bad ones, we're throwing off the perfectly fine ones.
The ones that we need?
Yeah,
the
because
ones
they
can put us
see.
in retirement homes? I don't know. It's so fucking dumb.
So that's their big show on Apple TV, and I'm an investor, so as I've been watching stuff, people are like, oh, Netflix is going down, and Disney went down a little bit when they announced all this and showed the trailers and stuff, and I'm like, guys, this isn't as good as you think it is, so I'm not all that impressed. I want to
know who they paid to hype that show up, because it went viral almost overnight.
Well, it's because of Jason Momoa, who I don't even think is all that great of an actor.
Doesn't matter who's in it. You have to have some serious promotional staff behind a viral undertaking like that. There's gotta be something behind that.
I guess.
I want to take a look at it.
I don't know. I've just been, everyone's hyping it up because it is their number one thing. And it is Apple. And then people are saying, well, Apple can buy Netflix. All the revenues of Netflix is 10% of Apple's revenues.
But they never will.
So it's like, it doesn't matter if Apple fails at this or not. They can take a while to ramp up where Netflix is like, this is
Netflix
their whole game.
is where they are.
And then Disney is doing their thing, which Disney has all their properties. Apple has to come up with all new stuff. So I don't know. This is their big thing. This is what they hyped up, and I'm not impressed.
Fuck you, Apple. We're not impressed with your bullshit.
Yeah.
Try harder.
Maybe if you sent me a new phone or something, I might care.
I don't want an Apple phone.
I don't really either. I like my 6-year-old phone. It's fine. I mean that. It's 6 years old.
Yeah, I know. You couldn't even download the AMC app.
It's fine.
It's okay. Oh, the guy at the AMC couldn't even scan your fucking phone to get us into the movie.
That's true. It's fine.
You might want to look into upgrading soon. You might have to.
It's worked every other time. That guy has just failed at his job.
He didn't fail on mine. He got mine the quickest out of anybody.
Oh, whatever.
That's just your fucked up
keep
phone.
bragging. I don't care. Whatever.
Maybe you had a better phone.
But I don't want to pay for it. I didn't even want to pay for this damn phone. Because all the digital shit.
Fair enough.
So anyway, there's other shows on Apple that I have no interest in watching either. So we're not going to do it.
No, sorry
Apple,
guys.
Sorry. We're going to
pay us and we might review your stuff.
Yeah, if you want to sponsor us, we will. We will do it. That's fine. We're looking. But yeah, right now I don't have no interest in trying to.
You have not impressed us, Apple. Try harder next time.
Ha 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 ha. All right. Anything else you want to mention?
Nope, I think we're all good.
Talk about, okay, what do we have coming up next week?
Ad Astra next week.
Ad Astra.
Yeah, whatever it's called.
And Rambo Last Blood
nope,
comes out.
Fuck that movie.
I'm gonna watch it.
I know you're going to, and then we're going to decide if we're both going to watch it. I really want to see Ad Astra.
Yeah, I've heard that one looks, or I've heard a lot of good things. Bradley Pitts. I don't know, what are they? Between Two Ferns also comes out, and I watched some of the Between Two Ferns stuff, and where he makes fun of Brad Pitt, actor, air quotes, and stuff like that. It's so good. So I'm really interested in Between Two Ferns on Netflix. That movie coming out also on the 20th. Yeah, that comes out on Friday. I think Ad Astra comes out on Wednesday, the 18th.
Yeah.
And then after that, 21 Bridges, and then Joker finally comes out in like a couple more weeks.
After a month of media hype of different people getting in to see it early.
I'm so annoyed with that. Why?
Yeah, I don't get, especially because with them only doing media personnel and publicists and stuff like that, they're getting lower reviews.
Yeah, as they should. It's kind of getting tired. So maybe we should get our stuff.
Like, doing a week of pre-showings for media and reviewers, that's a good idea. Yeah, doing almost a month of pre-showings, it might be a little too much. Not a good idea, because now the hype's starting to waver a little bit, and then you've got the fact that they're just going to start downvoting it for the fact that, well, there's this thing we can pick apart now that the movie's... Now that I've seen it this amount of times, and
I've heard all the spoiler talk about it, or I've figured out all the things about it, and therefore I'm not going to be all that impressed with it, even though it should be
stuff like that.
A completely bonkers movie.
There's also the fact that, like, if you have 10 or 20 different media people or reviewers in one room, they're going to talk to each other.
Yeah.
And they're slowly going to come up with the same reasons they don't like that movie, and they're going to post about, hey, this is why we don't like this movie. And then you're just getting even worse reviews. It's just, I don't know.
You might not be spoiling it, but you're certainly leading on to something to give people enough impression of what's happening, and that's just going to...
It's just going to affect your sales.
You're going to play the expectation games with people, and you can't do that. So they've probably blown their wad too early on that movie.
Very much so.
But we will be here to watch it anyway, and we shall review it, and it will be good. Hopefully. Anyway... what are we at? So we're going to end here. Facebook, GreyVillain Podcast. Twitter, @GreyVillain Pod. YouTube, GreyVillain. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Everything you do helps us get with the algorithms and all that shit. Do the computers. So, yeah, more interaction means more eyes and ears for us. All right. Stay cool.
Peace.